Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Nutmeg Sports here on the HAM Network. Back in the studio, no Frank today, but we got him on the phone, but I want to introduce John, the only healthy one it seems like right now. John, how you doing?
Well, we can't get the three of us together in one room. We'll make it work somehow.
How was your weekend?
It was good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot better. We're back on the mend. Good to go. Looking forward to the final push here in the state tournament. Boys hockey. We know who won in girls hockey. We got Darien winning their third straight. And, of course, we got some boys basketball as well. But we're going to start the show off with our very own Frank Granito, who's calling in right now on the phone. Frank, how are you feeling? We got to get all three back healthy in the studio once again this week.
What do we have? 7 days until the tour starts to get this figured out. So hopefully we're trending in the right direction. Good afternoon, boys.
Now, go ahead, John.
Go ahead. So you just can't get enough of work in overtime? You went to a hockey game the other night.
I tell you what, I was at that New Canaan-Hamden hockey game on Friday afternoon. 3 overtimes in that one, and it might have been one of the best high school hockey games I've seen in the last decade. It was extremely competitive. It was very clean. Both teams skated so well. Both goalies played tremendously. And if all the extra drama of overtime wasn't enough, each team had a penalty shot in there as well.
Which kind of amazes me because you very rarely do you see the penalty shot awarded in overtime. Was that a case where it was a cut and dry, by the rules, had to be a shot?
Oh, they were legit penalty shot calls. They came in the second overtime. Zach Owens was awarded one for Hamden. And in the third overtime, Gunnar Granito awarded one for New Canaan. It was when they were skating 4-on-4. I thought both those players were the best skaters on the ice for their respective squads. They had gotten behind the defense, and the defensemen for both teams had no choice but to bring the man down, as our director Mike Suppy would call it, one of those good fouls or whatever the soccer people say.
Frank, you look at, I know New Canaan come up with the loss there, but for Dylan Shane, the story continues. What a great season he's had. We've been going on and on about this, even talking to Clark Jones, the head coach. Describe from your point of view what kind of season he had and the impact he had with the New Canaan Rams.
I mean, we're talking about a kid who, before the month of December, had never played goalie in his career. I ran into one of the writers for Hockey Night in Boston who was there scouting the game, and he has Dylan Shane ranked as the 6th best goalie in the state of Connecticut right now for public schools. He had 50 saves in this game, some of them literally sprawled out on his head that kept the game alive. What that young man did this year, it was absolutely spectacular to watch, and he's only a junior too, which, I mean, do you think about the future that he's got ahead now for the Rams? It's going to be great seeing him back on the ice for the Rams next season.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the future because I want to ask you moving forward now. You don't want to look already to next year, but the season's over now for the New Canaan Rams boys hockey team. And now you look towards 2018, 2019 for Clark Jones and the rest of this group and for Gunnar Granito. What does this team look like for next season?
What really stood out in this game against Hamden, John, you remember, and Kevin, you were there too. We saw them play Hamden earlier in the year. They lost 12-6 against the Green Dragons. Now they play them in the state tournament without 2 of their top 4 defensemen in the lineup, and they lose in a toss-up game of triple overtime. They bring back a lot of this roster. I think there's going to be a good insertion of talent coming up from the youth level, and it's another year that Coach Jones has with this program to start, or at least continue, I should say, developing the talent within. I think you saw a lot of young guys grow up on this team down the stretch of the season. They got a lot of good experience, and New Canaan is going to be a team that the FCAC, the state, is not going to want to face next year.
Was it just a point of them learning to crawl and then learning to walk? Because it was a slow start for both Darien and New Canaan, and yet they both made it to the States. They both made good runs, into the FCAC in the late stages of the season. Are we just watching these perennial powers learn to walk and get their legs under them?
Well, I think one big thing, obviously, John, you look at Darienne's success down the stretch of the season, and obviously it came to a screeching halt on Sunday, falling 7-0 against Ridgefield. But, you know, the play of Henry Feifel, he was a little a little sloppy at times and struggling at the beginning of the year. He came into his own, and all of a sudden it's a Darien team playing with a newfound confidence. It can't be overstated enough how important a goalie is in high school hockey. And New Canaan obviously made that switch after the Hamden game, and all of a sudden Dylan Shane becomes the guy, and they seem like a new team. And both Coach Bud and Coach Jones did a very good job of trusting their underclassmen, putting them in uncomfortable situations early on so that by the time they got to the playoffs, kids like Bennett McDermott, kids like Frank Granito, Jack Johnson, the freshman for New Canaan, scored a goal, obviously. I thought Sam Augustine had a really good year. Max Stein, the freshman defenseman over at Darien. Those young guys were so accustomed and ready for the speed of playoff hockey that they looked like seasoned veterans, not these rookies in their first years.
All right, Frank. Now let's go and take a look at the rest of the tournament now. We move towards the semifinals. Hamden would go on to lose to Xavier, the third seed in the quarterfinals, 3-1. Xavier will now take on number 2 Greenwich in the first semifinal, and finally in the second semifinal. The third time now. It's going to be Richfield Prep, the rematch. The Tigers are going to face the Jesuits in the 1-5 matchup. That's going to be at 7:30. Both games will be Wednesday at Ingalls Rink. First off, if you had to pick one of those two games, which one are you most looking forward to?
It's tough to not want to see Ridgefield and Fairfield Prep again, especially now at the Whale. You've got the defending state champion against the team that everyone has had ranked number 1 all year long. Obviously, Prep has had the Tigers' number already this year, but Ridgefield now, with the change in their lineup, and they've got those 3 juniors, Will Forrest, Matt Walker, and Nick Cullinan all playing together. That might be the best line to this point in the tournament. I'm very intrigued with the struggle Fairfield Prep had in the quarterfinal. Obviously against a very familiar opponent in Notre Dame of Fairfield, but trailing early in the third period 3-2, and they've got to mount a comeback down the stretch as they would get goals in the game from David Blanchette and Joey Mancini. I think it's good that Prep had to face a little bit of adversity like that, and it maybe woke up a team that had been on cruise control for a little while there. But this is just such a good matchup. Both teams, Fairfield Prep is talented a team as we have seen, and they're going to capitalize on any little ground that you give to them. But again, I just love the work that Coach Gallagher does. It's such a mature group under the head coach there. They rarely make mistakes. They're not going to put themselves in bad positions. It's going to come down to Sean Gallagher, and obviously I'll swing it from the FCX perspective. I think if Sean Gallagher is the best player on the ice in this game, and I'm saying Gallagher, I mean Sean Gordon, I'm sorry, then the Tigers are really going to have a chance to pull off an upset here.
Well, this is going to be a third time now. Tigers and Jesuits going to meet. Keep in mind, Prep is going to be without junior forward Colin Bella, who's had a strong season for the Jesuits. He's suspended for the semifinal game. Third time now, do you give Ridgefield at all an advantage? Maybe just because they're coming off an FCX championship game, they're playing some of the best hockey right now. Do you give the Tigers at all the advantage, or right now do you fall towards Prep?
If Granito the Greek is putting a line down on this game, I don't know that there's a situation where Prep isn't going to be the favorite. Right. They're the number 1 team in this tournament for a reason. They haven't lost in Connecticut yet for a reason. And, they're going to be the favorite no matter who they play the rest of this tournament. But I would say that Ridgefield is, of the 3 remaining teams, I don't know that Ridgefield isn't the one most poised to knock off the Jesuits. They're very, very familiar with them. They've beaten them before in this tournament. So it'll definitely be a really, really good matchup. I'm glad they saved that one for the nightcap. That'll be a lot of fun to watch, and I think it's going to be a great game. I don't think that there's more than a goal difference in that one.
The defense shown by some of the teams that made it to the semifinals just really has caught my attention. Ridgefield in there with 2 shutouts. Greenwich in there with 2 shutouts. Xavier's in there. They allowed 1 goal to Hamden. That's it. And then Prep pitched a shutout in game 1 and then had that dogfight with Notre Dame of Fairfield. Who do you think has the hot goalie going into the semifinal doubleheader?
I've really been impressed with Ben Nash's play at Greenwich in this tournament after, he struggled there in that FCX championship against Ridgefield. I think the sophomore has bounced back extremely well. He's done a good job in this tournament. I think Xavier is a good matchup for the Cardinals there. Joking around with Coach Rurik, he looked at his side of the bracket and he said, New Canaan was the one team he didn't want to face. Hamden might have been a little tricky too because I think sophomore Zach Owens was really coming on offensively. Of course, CTHS Hockey just named Alex Mosian the Division I Skater of the Year today. I think it's a Greenwich group that, really believed this was their year to win an FCX championship. That didn't go their way. They're a little extra motivated now back at the Whale. I like Greenwich as the best lock, I'll say, to get to that championship game on Saturday.
I got to say, I like and there are some tremendous skaters out there in Connecticut, but for Mosian to come back from what he went through, missing the better part of last year, and he comes back and win that award, I think that's an inspirational story.
It really is a great story, and it speaks such a testament to the work ethic of a kid like Alex Mosian. He's respected by all of his teammates, all of his peers. He's a hardworking kid, and it was well-deserved. He put together a stellar senior season. The numbers speak for themselves, over 50 points, and he is the leader of that team. And when he is the best player on the ice, when he is their leading scorer, that's when the best version of the Cardinals shows itself.
Get your thoughts on Darien winning their 3rd straight state championship yesterday in a big win over Suffield Co-op 5-2. You got Sally Cassidy scoring. It's a good moment now for Sally Cassidy, Kiki Tropsa, and of course head coach Coach Tropsa as well, raising another banner for Darien High School. Just quickly want to get your thoughts on Darien.
Well, John, you remember when we did the New Canaan-Darien semifinal game in FCX, and New Canaan came away a winner. I looked at you and I said, Darien is going to win a state championship.
You did.
That is just, first of all, for Coach Tropsa, you give him extra time to get his girls rested, ready. They weren't going to lose a 4th time to New Canaan. Greenwich may have been a difficult task in the championship game, but this is a program that just is synonymous with success, a 3rd straight state title. They are the gold standard when it comes to girls hockey right now. And how about the run? Obviously, I played for Coach Tropsa when he was at New Canaan. I've known Jamie since I was 5 years old, and he taught me, in the Learn to Skate program down at Darien. I personally just want to congratulate Coach for the great run he's had with his daughters, Emily and Kiki, and with the Cassidy daughters. There are a lot of points and a lot of championships going back to 2012 when Georgia was a freshman and you had Emily as a senior there. So that run now coming to an end with Kiki and Sally graduating. Great way to go out.
All right, Frank. Well, we want to hope you feel better. Hope you're back in the studio tomorrow. And we want to wish you a speedy recovery, my friend.
All right, boys. Sounds good. I'll see you soon.
All right, that's Frank Granito joining us on the phone. We're going to step aside. When John and I come back, we're going to touch upon some boys basketball. All that coming up right here on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Set sail on a summertime adventure with Sail Away Sailing School. Located in Captain's Cove Seaport in Bridgeport, we're sailing June 18th through August 10th. 2 sessions offered daily, Monday through Friday for ages 9 to 15. Have fun, make friends, learn to sail. Visit teamsailaway.com.
At Pamby Motors, we're not worried about being the biggest dealership. We're focused on being the best. We're dedicated to giving you the best experience we can. The Pamby Motors team is here to help you choose the right Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram in a friendly, pressure-free environment. And right now, during Ram Truck Month, get up to $14,000 off on all in-stock 2017 Ram 1500 pickups. Come in and see us for details. Visit Pamby Motors, Route 7 in Ridgefield, PambyZone.com.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light. the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Baystar and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I want to send thanks to our own Frank Granito. Hope he feels better. Back in the studio tomorrow. But we're gonna jump things over now to boys basketball as we start to get ready for the state quarterfinal games, which are tonight. And we still have 3 FCAC teams remaining right now in the quarterfinal games. In Division I quarterfinals, number 2, Notre Dame Fairfield is going to take on number 7, Danbury, who are the FCAC champions of 2017-2018. In Division II quarterfinals tonight as well, number 16 seed, Stanford. They're going to take on number 9, Amity. And in Division II as well, number 13, Wilton, is going to take on number 21, Newtown. Wilton, that's going to be a home game for them. Notre Dame Fairfield against Danbury is going to be at Trumbull at 7 o'clock. And 16 seed Stanford and Amity are going to tip things off at 7 o'clock. That game's going to be at Amity. And we're going to jump things in now. We're also going to welcome in Mike Suppy, our very own, to quickly talk about these 3 games. Obviously, Division II, you got 2 FCAC teams remaining, and of course, Danbury. They defeated Trinity Catholic on Saturday in a big win. And guys, you look at this Danbury team all season long. We saw them early on, Mike, especially when they fell to Richfield. At Richfield, question marks were raised. They were able to win the FCAC championship game. They seem to be playing some of the best basketball right now.
Yeah, they seem to be peaking at the right time, and they're going to need to bring that A game into this game tonight because they're going to have a tough time with Notre Dame and Fairfield, which is proven to be, perennially one of the best programs in the state. And it's going to be a different beast from what they've seen so far this season.
And you look at 16 seed Stanford taking on Amity. Stanford, do you give them a chance at all at Amity tonight?
Oh, yeah, they have a chance for sure. I mean, they've already knocked off a couple good teams. But again, they're going to have their hands full with Tyler Thomas, Amity's top player, who's a Division I prospect. He's a great point guard. I've seen him play a few times. He's a handful. And they're going to have a nice game plan to stop him because he's a guy who can do it from anywhere in the court. He can shoot threes, he can drive, he's big. He's a unique player, and they haven't really seen anyone like him in the FCAC this year.
Let me ask you this question. Is Stanford going to sit on the ball at half court for around 2.5 minutes again?
I hope not. You can't predict it, but it's something we've seen in the postseason tournaments, teams taking advantage of the lack of a shot clock. And as a firm member of Team Shot Clock, it's something I hate to see, but it's something that we're going to have to deal with until there's some kind of decision reached on whether this is going to continue. Teams holding the ball for 2-3 minutes.
And finally, sorry, John, excuse me. And finally, number 13 seed Wilton taking on number 21 Newtown. This is going to be a home game for Wilton. The Tribe's going to be out in full force, Mike. Newtown, you give them a chance at all, or is this Wilton all the way?
I'm going to, if I'm making a pick, I'll say Wilton, but I would never underestimate Newtown because they've proven in the past that they can pull upsets in this tournament. A few years back, all the guys from this team were gone, but they knocked off the number 1 seed in the tournament, Crosby, in Double L as a 32 seed. So it's a team that has proven in the past they can pull some upsets. Not a lot of people, would probably rate the SWC as the strongest conference in the state this year, but they have a lot of good teams that they've played against. They faced Notre Dame Fairfield, they faced Immaculate, they faced some of those other top-end teams in the SWC, Pomperog. And, those teams are good. They might not get teams, people around here might not know too much about those teams, but, those are strong programs year in and year out. And Newtown is not going to certainly be afraid to go into Zeoli Fieldhouse and face Wilton. They're not going to be intimidated.
What do you guys take out of Stanford pulling off the 16-1 upset? They win the play-in game against number 17 Naugatuck by 8, and then they edge number 1 Simsbury by 3. 16 beats a 1. Always raises some eyes. Your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, you look at Stanford, and I was impressed with how they played this entire season. They played great down, especially in the second part of the season. Tevin St. John certainly deserves, conference player this year. Certainly deserves a lot of high praise for what he's been able to do with this Stanford Black Knights team. You look at Jelani Jackson. He's a guy that can score in a variety of ways. This is just a good team. Now, the problem that they have is they don't have a ton of size, and I think that's what hurt them at the end of the day against Trinity in the quarterfinals. But again, I thought they played tremendous against Trinity Catholic in the FCX. They had a great season overall. Tevin St. John, great season for him. I expect him to do big things tonight if they want to win against Amity. But again, Stanford has had a great season. Head coach Zach Smith's done a terrific job. This is going to be a good team, not just this year, but I think for years to come now.
Also, your thoughts, guys. I almost started this block pounding to erasers together. There's so much chalk.
Well, you look at it. I mean, you look at Wilton, and Wilton is interesting because you talk to Coach Garyak, and obviously frustrated after you look at last year making it all the way to the FCAC final. That great game against Richfield, coming up on the losing end in double overtime. There was a lot of hype with the Warriors coming in this year, expecting them to make the FCAC postseason. A little bit of a slide there, and they just missed out by 1 point. So I think this Wilton team is certainly motivated now that they didn't get a chance to play in the FCAC tournament. So now this is when Wilton wants to take advantage. You're seeing players like Brancato really starting to come out of his own now, really start to understand the offense, the type of style that Coach Garyak teaches. And I think you're really starting to see Brancato come out of his own. Scott Cunningham struggled a little bit down the stretch in the month of February, but I think he's starting to find his own in this tournament. But this is a very athletic Wilton team. We know how fast they are. And Mike, I think you can agree with me as well that this is a motivated team. They feel slighted that they didn't make the FCAC tournament, and they want to do work here in the state tournament.
Yeah, they missed out by, they were finished 9th, I believe, and that gave Coach Garyak some time to prepare for the state tournament and get out and scout potential opponents, stuff like that, and they've done well to get this far, and a lot of times, especially in Division I where everything went chalk, Division II didn't quite shake out that way, and you got to like their chances tonight. They a 13 seed having a home game in the quarterfinals is not something you can bank on all the time, but it's a tough place to play. I'm sure it's not super far away from Newtown, so they're going to have a fair amount of fans in there too, and it should be an electric atmosphere for that one.
That is going to be a fun place to watch that game.
Oh yeah, I'm going down there tonight. It's at 6 o'clock. That's going to be a good one, John. There's nothing quite like the Tribe, I tell you that.
No, there's not.
And of course, finally, Danbury tonight. I like their chances. I think you look at it, they're playing a neutral site tonight. They're gonna take on Notre Dame Fairfield at Trumbull. Game's at 7 o'clock. Danbury's playing some of the best basketball right now, John. And up and down the floor, they're starting 5. They have guys coming off the bench. Deontay Vines, Javon Hernandez, the two of them kind of leading the way, running the offense. But then, of course, Jordan Brown, Denali Burton.
I don't know who you try to stop. And watching them on our coverage of the FCAC playoffs, I'm watching them, I'm like, who do I try to defend? Because if I put 2 on any of these guys, the other guy's going to rip me apart.
Right, and you look at, Notre Dame Fairfield's had a terrific season, but you look up and down, they're not a small team, but they're an average-sized team. A lot of guys sitting at 6 foot, 6'2".
That's what they build on.
And that's what they build on. They can run up and down the floor, and they can push it, push the pace as well. But Danbury, they can do that too. They've proven that they can run up and down the floor, move in transition, get quick buckets. And Denali Burton is playing some of the best basketball he's been playing all season long now. It was great in the FCAC tournament, playing well, especially here. And that big win, I think that's a huge confidence builder to take on Trinity again, play them twice in less than 2 weeks, and beat them at home. I like Danbury in this game because right now they're playing with a ton of confidence. And right now, they have nothing to lose. They're taking on a team like Notre Dame Fairfield, who hasn't really faced a lot of defeat yet. Danbury
haven't faced any.
They haven't faced any defeat this year. So Danbury is that team where you don't ignore their seed. Ignore their seed. Pretend that they're a 1 seed. You have to. If you're Notre Dame Fairfield, you have to go into this game treating Danbury like they're the better team. If they go into this game thinking Danbury, 7 seed, Notre Dame Fairfield could be in a little bit of trouble. I'm not counting out Danbury.
That's going to be a fun game to watch. It's going to be a fun game to watch.
It's going to be a fun game to watch, but we're going to step aside now. Quick little basketball talk, but we're going to switch things back over to a little bit of hockey. We're going to be joined by Dave Stewart. All that coming up next right here on the HN Network.
Dr. Stephen Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today.
At Rings End, we say it's time to re-love your home, time to refresh and reinvigorate the way you live. And whether you're redoing something big or small, remember the letters RE stand for Rings End. We're the new model in home remodeling.
Well, there's still a bite out on the water. Most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web.
Best gourmet to go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077.
Yeah, Dad.
Kyle, I need you to update the financial statements.
I took care of that yesterday, Dad.
Mac, I need you to get those deals approved.
They're all done, Mr. Miller.
Jeff, I need you to order lunch for the meeting. They can't do a thing without me.
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
I'm never going to retire.
And welcome back to Nutmeg Sports right here on the HN Network. Kevin Coleman, John Kovac, and we're now joined by sports editor, New Canaan Advertiser, and Darien Times, Dave Stewart. Dave, how's it going? Thanks for spending a couple minutes with us.
Hey, no problem. It's going pretty good right now. Getting towards the end of the season, so everything's pretty exciting.
You've been a busy guy. Let's quickly jump into Darien winning their 3rd straight state championship on Sunday.
Yeah, they had a great. When you look at it, they had a great state tournament. I mean, I guess the biggest minus for Darien during the season was that they were having trouble finishing offensively and scoring some goals, and they were able to put up 11 in 3 tournament games, and pretty much roll through all 3 opponents. The New Canaan game was 2-1 in the 3rd period. That was in the semifinals, of course, but they ended up winning every game by at least 2 goals. So. They did pretty good performance for them, and they looked pretty confident yesterday.
How important was the quick start yesterday?
I think you could see when they scored the first goal, they probably had the better of play in the first 5-6 minutes anyway, although Suffield had some good players and was making some runs up the ice. But once they scored that first goal, there was a lift in the energy level. You could just see they just became electric, and they just started really hammering the net with shots, and it led to 2 more pretty quick goals. It led to a second goal pretty quick, and then a penalty and a subsequent goal on the power play by Shea Vandenbroek. And yeah, after that it was just pretty much they dominated throughout. After I would say the first 5 minutes of the game.
Now Haley Crepin was named tournament MVP. Just describe her performance throughout the entire tournament and this season. I also want to add how cool of a stat this is. All 5 Darien goals on Sunday had each class well represented, which I thought was pretty cool. Sally Cassidy, a senior, Shea Vandenbroek, a junior, Caitlin Chan, a sophomore, and Lucy Edwards and Kate Bellissimo are both freshmen. So I thought that was a pretty cool stat that all classes were well represented for each goal there for Darien on Sunday. But again, Haley Crepin, just describe her performance all season long and throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I think particularly in the state tournament, she really stepped up her game and played well. she was, obviously she was the anchor on the defensive end, and they were going for the shutout. Even Jamie Tropsa said afterwards they would have liked to have gotten her the shutout at that point. But I do think they gave up 2 goals in the 5 minutes of the game, but at that point the game was really over. She did really well. I mean, she had a shutout in the first round against Simsbury, gave up 1 goal against New Canaan, which New Canaan's been scoring a lot of goals this season. So, 1 goal against them is nothing to sneeze at. And then, when she did give up the 2 goals in the state final, it was really, the game was already in hand for Darien. So she's been great. I think she'll only get better. She's a sophomore right now, so they're going to have her around for a while. And I think, one of the things which was really impressive was that the defensive unit as a whole for Darien, led by the captains Kiki Tropsa and Sally Cassidy, they really didn't give up that much in shots. I think they gave up 11 or 12 shots to New Canaan and maybe 20 to Suffield. A lot of those were towards the end of the game too. So, a lot of, the thing was that they weren't, the opponents weren't getting a lot of good looks at the net anyway. And then, and when they did get something through, Crepin was there to clean it up. And, I just think the defensive unit as a whole was just incredible throughout the tournament. And, defense wins championships, as they say.
They certainly do. Dave, terrific job covering Darien this year. And we're looking forward to seeing all the work you do with New Canaan and Darien this coming spring.
It should be fun. We're getting ready for lacrosse now. It's going to be interesting with those 2 teams. Always is.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Dave, thank you very much for the time. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dave.
Take it easy.
All right. Thank you, Dave. That's Dave Stewart, sports editor of New Canaan Advertiser and Darien Times. But that's all the time we have today here on Nutmeg Sports on the HN Network. John Kovach, Kevin Coleman. I want to give a quick shout out to Mike Suppy and our director, Steve Gutman. Guys, great job. And quickly want to give a shout out to Richfield's very own Ben Mines, scoring on his debut with the New York Red Bulls on Saturday. Way to go, Ben.
Pretty goal, too.
Pretty goal. Well, that's going to do it today for Nutmeg Sports. We'll see you tomorrow. Kate Chaplinsky will have your coffee break at 11. We'll be back right here at 2 p.m. for Nutmeg Sports right here on the HAN Network.